I'm Richard Fowler and I work at 92.5 Gold FM, do the breakfast show with Bridge and Sarah in the morning. I love getting out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning. Not. No, it's a lot of fun. I'm very blessed. It's a great job. And it's something I've been doing for, well, as I said, 20 years now. 20 years coming up actually very shortly. And it's something I'm pretty passionate about, and I'm very fortunate to have such a great position. What am I passionate about and what's important to me? You know, something I'm really passionate about is the Gold Coast. And even though I'm not born and bred here, like a lot of people are, but there is a very large transient population here, of course, I'm really passionate about the Gold Coast. I love the place. And I've actually lived here on and off virtually since 1981, and then moved to Sydney or Melbourne or Brisbane or whatever, and then come back here. So this is actually my third stint here. And this time round, I've been here for 20 years. I always gravitate back to the Gold Coast, and that's something I'm very passionate about. And things that are important to me, lifestyle, having a comfortable living style. And I'm not talking about earning millions and being incredibly wealthy, but just being able to be comfortable and to do those things that you want to do, like do a nice overseas holiday and be able to afford it. Maybe go out for dinner once in a while and shout at the girlfriend or whatever. So you're not always struggling for cash. So what made me pick Wallstrom Financial Services and how did I hear about them? Well, it's an interesting story because I've actually known Lee as a personal friend since the 80s, not long after he shifted here actually. I think from memory he'd been, I can't remember whether he was playing rugby union in France or Italy or Japan, and I can't remember which one of those countries he got deported from. Anyway, no, I'm joking. So I've known Lee, since the 80s basically, and it was him all those years ago when superannuation was still fairly new and there was a lot of dodgy schemes around. It was him that actually got all my superannuation under control because I'd actually shifted around and worked at various radio stations around the place. And from that moment on, well, we've just continued to grow it, which has been fantastic. Well, trust is very important, and I trust Lee, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be here. But what I find about Wallstrom Financial Services is everything's laid on the table. And it's like, well, these are your options. Which way would you like to go? How has Wallstrom Financial Services enabled me to reach my financial goals? In various ways. Trust for me is very important. I like to deal with a company that I know that I can trust. Because you read all the time in the newspapers, and not just on the Gold Coast, but all around the country, that there's some dodgy people out there. I wouldn't be here if I didn't trust Wallstrom Financial Services, more importantly, if I didn't trust Lee. And he has made me aware of things that I shouldn't or should be investing in. Some of those things that you think you've read about in the newspaper and you go, oh, I should be jumping on that bandwagon, why aren't I doing that? And then you get the proper advice from the right person saying, well, hang on, let's just sit back and look at the scheme that you're talking about or that you've read about. Do you really think this is for you at your time in life, at your present financial situation, or where you happen to be at the moment? I mean, that's what I like about Lee. He's managed my money and managed my money well, and I've now been able to get to a situation where I'm looking a lot prettier than I was maybe 10 or 15 years ago. How do I find the staff here at Wallstrom Financial Services? The best. Absolutely top notch. And friendly face every time that lift door opens. I like that. And they know your name. Nothing better than walking into a place that goes, oh, g'day, how you going? Nice to see you again, Richard. As opposed to, sorry, what was your name again? And what time's your appointment? I feel very comfortable in the fact that I've actually referred a number of people to Wallstrom Financial Services, and particularly in my industry, the radio industry, it can be very tough and very volatile because, of course, our jobs depend on ratings. If we don't rate, we're out of a job. The other thing that I've always worried about, as a lot of my colleagues have, of course, if you ever end up getting sick, whether it be losing your voice, which would be the worst possible thing, or some other type of injury where you can't actually work at work, you've got to be covered. You've got to have some type of income protection. And it was actually Wallstrom Financial Services that got me onto that. So I'm protected, I'm insured. You insure your car and your house, why wouldn't I insure myself? And a number of my colleagues at work have also taken up the option of doing income protection through my advice to them saying, cover yourself, because you just don't know what's going to happen down the track.